Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you could join me today. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's feeling happy and healthy and calm with your surroundings and the world. I know these are very difficult times for a lot of people, not just in the US, but globally. I was on social media the other day, like I am very often, and I don't remember if it was TikTok or YouTube, but I came across a psychotherapist who was talking about anxiety and depression. And she said people who experience anxiety are stuck in the future, and people who experience depression are stuck in the past. And I started thinking about it a little bit, and it's kind of true. If you're anxious, you're usually worried about something that hasn't happened yet, or circumstances that you think might happen. And 9 times out of 10, when they do happen, they're not as bad as you think. And people who are depressed are usually stuck in the past. And that's because you're usually sad or you're upset about something that's happened in the past. So anyway, it made a lot of sense to me. And what she said was that in order to get out of those 2 states, you need to be in the present moment. And being in the present isn't easy for everybody because we're all on a different journey. And some people have more problems than others. Some people have more financial problems, emotional problems, physical problems, but whatever journey you're on, you have to make the best of it and try to be in the present moment. And I'm hoping that my videos do that for you. I've been told by a few of my viewers that my videos help them. My videos help them stay calm and stay centered. And they actually offer a little escape because whenever you dive into anything creative, it helps you to escape what's happening around you. It takes you away from whatever situation you're in, whether it's physical, emotional, whatever it is. So if I can help a few people get away and be in the present moment, it's all worthwhile for me, and that's why I'm on this channel. I like to help people and I like to inspire people, and being on this channel helping others really helps me as well. It makes it all worthwhile and very rewarding. At the same time, you're benefiting from being here as well. And to get into that state where you're in the present moment, one of the things that people do is to meditate, or they go for walks, but I know not everybody can do that. And so if you can come to this channel and get away and be in the present moment with me, that would make me very happy. But anyway, guys, I don't mean to get all philosophical on you. I just wanted to express my gratitude for you being here and for following me on this YouTube journey. So anyway, guys, we're all going to get into the present moment because we're going to make that gorgeous necklace that you saw in the introduction. And I called it the Art Deco necklace after Sam's bead box for the month of October. He had the most beautiful Art Deco design beads. I just couldn't believe it. I was so impressed by it. Now, if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave the link down below so you can go check out his website. He also has a Facebook group, and if you want to get inspiration, that's another place you can go to. But anyway, I'll leave all of that information down below. I also like to leave timestamps in case you want to skip forward to any portion of the video. Another thing you'll find down below is a list of all the materials that I'm going to be using today, as well as the tools. I get a lot of questions about the types of pliers I use and the types of cutters I use. So all of that information is down below. You just have to scroll down all the way to the very bottom. But anyway, guys, it's an asymmetrical design, as you saw in the introduction. And I did an asymmetrical design because my last video was another asymmetrical design. And I'm the type of person that I'm very symmetrical. I like things very balanced. And for me to break out of that habit is kind of difficult. But I got such good feedback from the previous video that I thought I would make another asymmetrical design today. It's actually not that difficult to do if you know how to make the whole thing look balanced. That's the key. One of the biggest challenges about asymmetrical designs is that you have to make sure that the weight is distributed evenly throughout the whole necklace. In other words, you can't have one side being very heavy and the other side being very light. And it's all to do with the kinds of beads that you use and the weight of the beads. So anyway, I'm hoping that you enjoyed today's tutorial. The necklace does have some unusual beads, so if you didn't buy that box, you may have a little difficulty, or your necklace may have turned out completely different. The best thing to do is to go online or go to Sam's bead shop to see if you can find similar beads. Like I said, I'm going to leave a list of all the materials down below, along with the measurements and the colors and everything. Now, before we get started, let me remind you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, because it really does help my channel and it helps me as a content creator to stay motivated to create more videos for you. Also, what really helps my channel is if you leave comments down below and give me a thumbs up. I know I ask you every single time, you're getting sick and tired of me asking you, but the reason I'm always asking you to subscribe is because I know I get a lot of viewers that haven't done so yet. Now, in my last video, I mentioned that I was on TikTok, but I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. So if you're on any of those 2 platforms, please check my page and give me a follow if you can. You know, it's really funny. Sometimes I get comments from viewers thanking me for doing tutorials for free. I love to do tutorials for free because I feel like I'm helping this community. And so in exchange, the only thing that I ask is that you subscribe, and it doesn't cost you anything. But anyway, guys, I don't want to keep going on about it. I know you're anxious to get going with this tutorial, so let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. And here we have Sam's bead box for the month of October. As you can see, the name of the box is Art Deco. Let's go ahead and select the beads. I tried putting them on the top so I wouldn't have to search for them. And as always, guys, I want to use every single one of these beads because they're so beautiful. But of course, we're not going to do that today. We're just going to make the one necklace and some earrings. And what inspired the necklace were these beads here. These are so gorgeous. These are called Czech Glass Art Deco fans. And as you can see, they're in a fan shape and they come in various colors. But we're not going to use all of the colors. We're only going to use 2 of the colors. Now, when I first saw this mandala flower pendant, I was very inspired by it. But this isn't really what inspired the necklace. However, I am going to use this as a focal because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It measures 18 millimeters. And as you can see, it's in a beautiful gold color. We're going to use these beautiful clear glass oval beads. These have an Art Deco design as well. And I absolutely fell in love with these amethyst cubes when I first saw them. These are so gorgeous, guys. I couldn't resist. So anyway, I wanted to make sure to use these because they're absolutely stunning. I want to use these as well. These are 5 polished faceted rounds. They're 8 millimeters in size and the color is jet black, and they have this beautiful gold finish on one side of the bead. Another item I was impressed with were these beautiful drops. Look how gorgeous these are. They're so pretty. These are called Czech Glass Faceted Long Drops. They're in a Tanzanite color with a bronze base, and they're pretty big. They measure 8.5 by 20 millimeters. We're going to use one of these for the pendant, and I'll also pull out 2 to make some earrings. And that's it from this box. We're going to be using some craft wire, and this is by Beading. It's in a gold color, as you can see, and it's 22 gauge, and it's German style wire, so it's a little bit harder than regular wire. I'm going to be using some chain, and this is roller chain, and it's in that beautiful light gold color. It's not the really bright yellow colored chain, which I don't really like very much anyways. I had a lot of different gold chains and I wanted to choose one that would blend in well or that would coordinate with that mandala flower pendant. And these links aren't very big at all. I think they measure between 2 and 3 millimeters. They're kind of small, but I wouldn't call this a dainty chain. And here we have a few other items. We have some jump rings. These are 6 millimeters in size. We have a lobster claw clasp, and we have some ball head pins. And we're going to use the head pins for the pendant as well as the earrings. For the earrings, we're going to use some ear wire hooks, and I always use stainless steel regardless of the color of the metal. I'm one of those that's very sensitive to metals, so the only thing that I can wear is stainless steel. But you can use any kind of ear wire hook. If you have gold plated or gold filled, that would be ideal. We're going to start by assembling the pendant, and I'm going to cut myself some wire. It's a good idea to straighten your wire before you cut it off the spool. And since we're going to be doing wrap loops, I would recommend that you cut yourself a 3-inch piece. And here's my ball head pin. Let's go ahead and start with a drop. We're simply going to take the ball head pin and thread it through the base of the drop like this. And now I'm going to grab the wire at the top of the bead, like this, kink it, switch to this portion of my pliers, take the tail and wrap it around the nose of the pliers, like this, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap that tail to the back, like this. Remove the pliers. And now we're going to close that loop with some wraps. I like to grab my loops with a set of skinny pliers. And with another set, I'm going to grab the tail and do 2 to 3 wraps. It's up to you how many wraps you want to do. And now I'm going to cut off the excess. And if you see a little bit sticking out, you should tuck it in. So this is what we have. And now we're going to connect this mandala flower to the drop. So now I'm going to grab the wire a little bit more than 1/3 of the way down, something like this. Kink it. Switch to this portion of my pliers this time. I'm going to make a slightly bigger loop. So I'm placing the wire a little bit further up the nose of my pliers. Take the tail, wrap it around. Flip the pliers around. And continue to wrap that tail to the back. And we're going to go ahead and close this loop with some wraps. Like I said, you can do as many wraps as you want to. I usually do between 2 and 3 wraps. And now I'm going to snip off the excess and tuck in the little end. So now we're going to thread the bead on. This is the top of the bead, and we're going to hang the drop from this end. So I'm going to grab the wire at the base of the bead, kink it, switch, and this loop can be smaller. Take the tail, wrap it around, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Now before we close this loop, we're going to slide the drop into the open loop like this. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little end if you see one. Let me clean up my workspace. And this is what we have. Now my loops are perpendicular, they're not facing the same way, but it really doesn't matter for the pendant. I think it looks really nice. So now that we've completed the pendant, we're going to go ahead and work on the strands. So let me go get the beads. Here are the beads for the strands. As you can see, I have the amethyst cubes on the right and the Art Deco fans on the left. The Art Deco fans are in 2 colors, purple and black, and I'm alternating the colors. So I'm starting with a purple, then a black one, and then a purple one, and a black one. And the other thing that I decided to do was to have the fans pointing upward like that, because that's what I've seen in a lot of Art Deco designs. They usually point up instead of down, but of course you can place them however you want. And here's some wire. My wire pieces measure about 3 inches because I'm going to be doing wrap loops. It's better to have enough wire than not enough, because there's nothing worse than struggling with short pieces of wire. But anyway guys, this is very repetitive, so I'm going to do one of them with you, and then I'm going to speed up the film so the video doesn't end up being too long. But let me show you how to do one. Just like before, you're going to grab the wire a little bit more than 1/3 of the way down, kink it, switch to this portion of the pliers, and every plier is different, so you may have to place yours at a different spot. It all depends on how big you want your loop. Now I'm going to take the tail and wrap it around. Flip the pliers around, continue to wrap that tail to the back, like this. And just like before, I'm going to grab the loop with a set of skinny pliers, and then with another set, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Remove the pliers, and now I'm going to cut off the excess. And now I'm going to tuck in the sharp end. Now this next part is important. We're going to thread it through the top part of the bead, of the fan, like this. And we will be doing a wrap loop at this end, but we're not going to do it just yet. We're going to leave it open. But I am going to get it started. So I'm going to grab the wire at the base of the bead like this, kink it, switch to the same spot that I was on when I did this loop, take the tail, wrap it around, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap that tail to the back. Now you do want your loops to line up, so I'm going to grab this loop with another set of pliers, line up my loops. So now we've completed this first one. And the reason we want this one open is because we need to connect it to the pendant. So anyway, like I said before, I'm going to go ahead and complete all of them the same way. I'm going to make a wrap loop at one end and leave the other one open. So let me speed up the film and I'll meet you back. Okay, I've attached the wire to all of the beads, as you can see, and I lined up all of my loops except for this last bead here on this side and this one. The loops are actually perpendicular to each other. They're not facing the same direction, and I'll show you why later on after we start connecting everything. So we're going to start by connecting the beads to the pendant. Let me show you how it's done. We're simply going to take the bead, slide the closed loop into the open loop of the component like this. Once again, I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, and then with another set I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. And of course you need to cut off the excess, and you definitely want to tuck in any little sharp end. So here's the first beaded component connected to the pendant. And once again, let me show you one more time. Slide the closed loop into the open loop like this. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers, and then grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little end, and this is what we have so far. It's very repetitive, guys. It's the same thing over and over. Now these are going to be connected the same way, and actually I should have placed them this way with the open loop at the bottom and the fan facing upward. So let me go ahead and do the first one with you. I'm sliding the closed loop of the pendant into the open loop of the fan bead. And now I'm going to grab that loop again with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess and tuck in the little end. So let me show you what we have so far. Pretty straightforward, as you can see. And actually this bead should be this way, because we want to make sure we have all the open loops at the bottom of the beads. So to save time, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the film again, and I'll meet you back. Okay, as you can see, I've linked all of the beads and connected them to the pendant, and I'm really liking this asymmetrical design. Let me go ahead and measure this strand. It looks like it measures about 4 inches, and this one should measure the same. Let's take a look. It measures 4 inches as well, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now if you run into an issue where your strands aren't the same length, what you can do is adjust the size of your loops. I don't recommend that you do that because you want your loops to be all the same, but that's one workaround if you run into that issue. So now that we've completed the lower strand, we're going to work on the upper strand. The upper strand is going to be very simple. It's just going to consist of these 3 beads. These are the 8mm fire polished Czech rounds. Let me go ahead and put them on wire and link them together. Okay, as you can see, I've linked the 3 beads together. So now all we have to do is attach some chain to the open loops. Now I want the upper strand to be between 6 1/4 and 6.5 inches. And of course this lower strand measures about 8 inches, maybe a little bit more if you consider the loop of the pendant. Let me go ahead and measure these beads. They measure 2 inches. So that means I need an additional 4 1/4 or 4.5 inches. Let's just go ahead and go with 4 1/4. If I divide that by 2, that means I need to cut myself 2 pieces of chain that are each 2 1/8 of an inch long. Let's go ahead and do that. Here's my chain. And I'm not going to be too precise, but I do want it to be the correct length. So I think what I'm going to do is cut this link right here. And I don't think these are open links. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And now to get 2 equal lengths, I'm going to slide a head pin through the first link of both pieces like this. So now it's easy to figure out where I need to cut the next link. So here are my 2 pieces, and it's very easy to connect. We're simply going to take the first link of the chain and slide it into the open loop of the beaded component like this. Grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess and tuck in the little end if you see one. So now we've connected the chain to that first bead. I'm going to do the same thing to this side now. Now before we assemble the necklace, we need to build 2 more beaded components using these beads here. One of them is going to go at the top like this, and the other one's going to go at this end. And as you can see, I have the design pointing upward. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put these on wire and do some wrap loops. Okay, as you can see, I put wire on both of these beads. I did not do any wraps at the top because we're going to be attaching the chain to that. So now we're going to connect the 2 strands. Here are 2 jump rings. Each one is 6 millimeters. And this is very easy, guys. Let's go ahead and open up this jump ring. We're going to connect this loop to the jump ring like this, and then the chain, and then this beaded component like this. Let me close up the jump ring. So here's what we have so far. And I do want to explain why I made these loops perpendicular to each other. Let me just show you real quick. It's to do with the way they connect to the pendant. So if you'll notice on this beaded component, the loops are vertical, and on this one they're horizontal, they're parallel to the mat. On this next one they're vertical, this next one they're horizontal, vertical, and these should be horizontal, but because they're connecting to the jump ring, this one is horizontal, but this one is not. This one's vertical. I hope that makes sense. It's important that you orient your loops the right way, because if you don't, the necklace won't sit properly on your chest and it'll be constantly fighting you. So now we need to connect this side, but we need to make sure that the loops aren't all twisted up. So I'm going to take a close look at the loops, make sure that they're facing the right direction. These 2 are perpendicular to each other, as you can see, and if they're not, it's very easy to fix. You just grab one loop with one set of pliers, grab the other one with another set, and turn your loops like this. So anyway, before we connect these 2 strands together, we want to make sure that these aren't all tangled up or twisted up. Let me go ahead and open up this jump ring. I'm going to connect it to this loop like this. And now before we connect this chain, we want to let it hang to make sure it's not all twisted up. And now take the last link and slide it into the jump ring. And before we close it, we need to connect this bead like this. Let me close up the jump ring. So this is what we have so far, and I think it looks lovely. Here's some more chain, one for this side and one for that side. Now these are a little bit longer. These are 5 inches long. I'm going to probably end up trimming some of it. Once I attach the chain, what I'll do is take it to the mirror and see how it looks on my chest, and then I'll decide how long I want the necklace. I'm thinking anything between 16 and 18 inches at this point. More than likely it'll be 16 inches. And I say that because the pendant hangs pretty low. So let me go ahead and connect the chain. Let me open up this loop a little bit so that it slides in easier. I'm going to take the link of the chain and slide it into the open loop of this beaded component. Like this. And grab the loop with my skinny pliers. And now grab the tail and do a couple of wraps to close it up. And I don't know if you guys can hear my cat snoring in the background. She gets pretty loud. I have 2 cats, and the female cat snores a lot for some reason. So now I'm going to cut off the excess. Tuck in the little tail if you see one. And now let me do this side. As you can see, I've attached the chain, and now before I attach the clasp, I'm going to take it to the mirror and see if I need to trim that chain. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I did end up trimming the chain. I took off about 1 inch. So that's something you're going to have to decide for yourself, depending on how long you want your necklace. So now we're going to attach the clasp. Here are 2 jump rings, and here's my lobster claw clasp. Let's go ahead and open up this jump ring. we're simply going to slide the link of the chain into the jump ring like this. And now the lobster claw clasp, like this. Close it up. And this other side will just have the jump ring. Now before I arrange the necklace on my board, I do want to make a pair of earrings. So let me put it down here for a second. I've already made one earring, as you can see, and I decided to use the Amethyst cube and the Tanzanite drop. I was debating whether to use one of the fire polished black rounds, but I love these cubes so much I couldn't resist. So here's another one, and here's another drop, and here's my ear wire hook. I have a ball head pin and a piece of wire. And I know many of you already know how to make earrings, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it for those of you who are beginners. I'm going to start out by feeding the head pin through the drop like this. And now I'm going to do a wrap loop at this end. So here's my drop, and now I'm going to put this wire on the cube. And it's the same thing, guys. It's going to be wrap loops at each end. Now before I do the wrap loop, I need to thread it onto this loop. Just like that. Let me cut off the excess, and of course I'm going to tuck in the little end. And now I'm going to thread the bead onto the wire, grab the wire at this end, line up the bottom loop, kink the wire, and now let's go ahead and thread on the ear wire hook. Grab the loop and close it up with a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little end, and here we have an adorable pair of earrings. And here's the beautiful necklace and earring set. I think it's very elegant. I love the colors, and I also like that it's asymmetrical. It's asymmetrical, but it's balanced at the same time. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me go ahead and put the necklace on and show you what it looks like. Well, what do you think? Isn't this a lovely necklace? I really like it. I like the asymmetrical look. I'm kind of getting used to it. It's a little difficult for me because I like symmetry, but once in a while you just have to break out of that box. Of course, your attire makes a big difference. You don't want to wear something that's perfectly symmetrical and then put one of these necklaces on. I'm just assuming that. I'm no fashion expert, but I think if you wear something more abstract like this top that I have on, you can get away with wearing an asymmetrical necklace like this one. So anyway, guys, I know not everybody has these beads, but hopefully you can find something similar, and hopefully I've given you some ideas and some inspiration. I hope you can go out and make your own necklaces. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.